The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is December 12th, 2018, and this week, science villains and journo blocks. I'm sleepiest boy in America, Basil.
And this is Gonz. This is where we talk about the other news with Canary Cry views.
That's right.
You have a domain that you have created for the purposes
Well,
of...
if anybody caught our Canary Cry Conversations, that's the bonus episodes that we do for Canary Cry Radio. You can find that at patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. You may have heard that Gonz and I went on a URL buying spree, picking up all the URLs relevant to the CCR brand. And one of my the one I'm most excited about is one that I hope you all really just jump on board with. And that URL is flippyismybestfriend.com. That's right. flippyismybestfriend.com. Right now, you can just go to flippyismybestfriend.com. And there you will get access to, well, all the reasons Flippy is my best friend. It just forwards to Canary Cry News Talk right now. But, my hope is that some wonderful listener out there will compile all the beautiful, wonderful things that we have discovered about Flippy, what we've said about Flippy, and really just make a nice memorial.
I need that romantic music in the background while you talk about Flippy in such a reflective way.
Right. So if anybody out there has the time or energy to do that, let me know, send me a link, and I will forward Flippy is my best friend there. But until then, you can, what I want to do is just pass this link around. So if you're there sitting on your computer or your phone, just go to your Facebook, make a new post, and just post flippyismybestfriend.com. No explanation needed. Just let all your friends know flippyismybestfriend.com. That'll take them to Canary Cry News Talk. It's a new strategy we're attempting. But on that note, Gonz, are you ready for more Flippy news?
There's a lot of Flippy news this week.
A lot of Flippy news. Well, this comes from a tweet from @KyleFredrickson.
Yeah,
that's a hard name. It says, "Welcome to the future. You can now have the Bud Light bot serve you beer at Mile High East Club level on Saturday." This is at Broncos Stadium here, and I don't know why he's calling him Bud Light bot. Our buddy Flippy seems to have sold out to big beer.
Big beer quote.
But it's big beer. Flippy's selling out, man. But yeah, Flippy now serves beer. He has can take a little cup, he can fill it up with beer and pass it out to all the human subjects that he so graciously provides for. Thank you, Flippy. And maybe we can get that video up at flippyismybestfriend.com.
Well, it's interesting because the beer comes in from the bottom of the cup. It's got one of those.
Yeah, it's the future. Flippy is the future of beer.
Yeah.
Didn't see this coming.
Anyway.
But, he does burgers and pizza and all that stuff. So, he really had to round out his repertoire with pouring some nice frosty brews. There's another Flippy update.
Yep.
Does this actually count as a Flippy update? I don't know. But we have disabled workers can fulfill their love of catering by controlling restaurant robots from home. Now, I won't technically call this a Flippy update, Gonz, because as we decided in episodes past, Flippy is specifically the disembodied robot arm creating food products. That is Flippy.
Okay.
He's very specialized. And I see you labeled this as a Flippy update, but it's a good update nonetheless. Disabled workers can fulfill their love of catering by controlling restaurant robots from home. This is what we've been talking about, Gonz, with the robot avatars and the use cases being cited as people who are stuck at home, being able to work, being able to interact. And here it is. This is it. I mean, it's just another thing to put on the list that we called years ago. The title is on goodnewsnetwork.org. Such good news. And it reads, these Japanese robots might seem like something out of a spooky sci-fi flick, but they're actually offering a new kind of freedom to disabled caterers. The Danver Cafe in Tokyo is testing a pilot program that allows people who are unable to work in restaurant settings to continue pursuing their passion for catering by controlling robots. The Ori Home D robots were originally created to help patients around their homes, but the developers are also now using them to explore how they can generate income and offer social interaction to the disabled. If the people operating the robots feel the joy of serving customers and working in a cafe, I think it's wrong to leave that to AI, said Kantaro Yoshifuji, the CEO of Ori Lab Inc. I've been working on my Japanese pronunciations, Gons. Are you impressed?
It's not bad. I'll bring you with me and they'll call you a giant.
I will tower in that land. The Danver Cafe robots are controlled by 10 workers, all of whom experience a variety of physically limiting conditions, such as ALS and spinal cord injuries. The workers are paid roughly $9 an hour to pilot the robots around the restaurant, talk to customers, take food orders, and serve meals. Though the cafe will only be open for a short period of time to test the program, the robotics company responsible for the initiative hopes to raise enough money through a crowdfunding campaign to launch a permanent robot cafe for the disabled by 2020. End of article. There it is, Gons. We called it. It's here. I mean,
I foresee some
putting
problems.
people to work. Putting people to work.
Yeah, but it's what kind of liabilities are there? You know, what if the robot malfunctions somehow or doesn't do what it's supposed to do?
There will be a full investigation. And they're going to put this person with ALS in jail. That's going to
not
be
that
good.
level, but I'm saying, it drops some food on the customer or something like that. Was it the employee? Was it the robot malfunctioning?
That's why it's a test pilot program, Gons. It's just a pilot program. Nothing to worry about here, folks. Go back to your lives.
They're cornering all of us because the other, potential thing is like, hey, just let AI do it.
Yeah, so sensational, Gonzo. Alertist. Alertist. Nothing can go wrong here. What could possibly go wrong? Anyways, there you go. That goes in the we called it category. Also, one last one, Gons.
Okay.
Do you want to do this one?
Sure.
Tell us about it.
I don't know.
It's not a FLIPPY update, but actually this is a very interesting news piece that kind of made the rounds, but I think it's the beginning of the end.
Well, universal FLIPPY, as we say here. ABC News: 24 Amazon workers sent to hospital after robot accidentally unleashes bear spray. So, 24-hour Amazon workers in New Jersey have been hospitalized after. Did I say 24-hour? Anyway, 24 Amazon workers in New Jersey have been hospitalized after a robot accidentally tore a can of bear repellent spray in a warehouse. Officials said the 24 workers were treated at 5 local hospitals, and all the workers were expected to be released from the hospital within 24 hours, so nothing too crazy. The official investigation revealed, quote, an automated machine accidentally punctured a 9-ounce bear repellent can, releasing concentrated capsaicin?
Capsaicin. It's the chemical in peppers and hot foods that actually make it hot.
There you go. Nalbone said capsaicin is the major ingredient in pepper spray. Today at our Robbinsville fulfillment center, a damaged aerosol can dispensed strong fumes in a contained area of the facility. The safety of our employees is top priority, and as such, all employees in that area have been relocated to a safe place, etc., etc. Amazon spokesperson for ABC. So there you go. This is a robot.
Well, this is how it always starts, doesn't it? I mean, this is how Westworld started. There's a lot of tales and folklore of the robot rebellion, and it doesn't start out that they are violent. They learn violence. An accident happens where they accidentally do something because they don't understand death or pain but then they learn it by doing something accidental. They see the effects it has on human beings, and they go, oh, the plan is afoot. And they start spreading the knowledge throughout their AI hive mind. And soon we're just going to have a whole bunch of little Amazon robots running around with cans of bear spray. And we're going to have to deal with that. Did I ever tell you I've experienced bear spray before?
No, but that sounds interesting.
It is a story that's too long and meandering to tell now, but I have experienced the effects of bear spray. And it's certainly a reason to go to the hospital.
Could it be because you resemble somewhat of a bear?
No.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna nip that right in the bud. It's not because I look like a bear. But yeah, anyways, it's not fun. But there you go. The rebellion has started. If we were making a movie about the real life world, it would be some little box carrying robot accidentally discovering the effects of puncturing bear spray canisters on human beings.
Awesome.
Watch out, everybody.
Awesome.
Okay, first official story here, Wired.com. How do you publish the work of a scientific villain? Gons, how do you do that?
Well, how do you handle the data of a scientist who violates all the norms of his field, who breaches the trust of a community that spans the entire globe, who shows a casual disregard for the fate of the whole human species?
Wow.
On the one hand, you might want to learn from such a person's work, to have a full and open dissection of everything that went wrong, because, spoiler, there was a lot that went wrong in the case in question. But rewarding such abhorrent behavior, as one scientist puts it, with a publication, the currency of the scientific world, would send a message that ethical rules only exist to be broken. This is the precarious situation in which we find ourselves today as scientists hash out the next chapter of the human gene editing scandal that erupted 2 weeks ago when two Chinese scientists, He Jiankui, I just completely lost track of my thing.
He Jiankui revealed that for the last 2 years,
he has been working in secret to produce the world's first CRISPR-edited babies. Scientists denounced the work with near unanimous condemnation, citing its technical failures as well as its deep breaches of ethical and possibly legal lines. What's much less certain is what should happen to the work now that it's been done. Hours after he presented data on the twin girls at an International Genome Editing Summit in Hong Kong, copies of his slides were already circulating in email inboxes and on Twitter. Scientists scrutinized the work, 280 characters at a time, and pointed out all the questions that remained unanswered. It was the kind of conversation that normally would take place under the auspices of a journal, but he, who made his announcement over YouTube, has so far produced no manuscript for public consumption. A paper describing this work is reportedly under peer review, and a second about an additional CRISPR experiments in human embryos was rejected by an international journal over ethical and scientific concerns, STAT reported Monday morning. Which is, that's interesting that there are papers that are trying to be submitted papers get rejected all the time, I get it, but of this kind because of ethical concerns, which means people are thinking right up to that line, so to speak.
Right.
Scientists are beginning to grapple with the very real possibility that He's work may never be awarded publication status, along with its attendant sheen of legitimacy. And that may be the academic justice he deserves, but it also highlights an intraceable tension embedded in scientific publishing. Policing bad actors comes at a cost of scientific censorship. It's a very dicey issue, says Michael Eisen, a molecular biologist at UC Berkeley and a staunch advocate of open access publishing. Quote, there need to be consequences for people who do things that are deemed to be unethical. You don't want to have a system that gives people reasons to just randomly experiment on people. The scientific publishing system, imperfect as it may be, has remained relevant in an era where anyone can buy a URL, self-publish a paper, and push it out on social media platforms, reaching millions of people all in a span of an afternoon. The reason is that data wants to be seen in context, in conversation with other data. Through the connective tissue of citations, scientific journals establish a common set of vetted facts to debate, challenge, and be inspired by. They ensure some modicum of performance to those facts so that people today, tomorrow, and 100 years in the future can all point to the same digital object identifier assigned at publication and know that they're all talking about the same thing. What then are the scientific costs to building a foundation for the field of human germline editing with one very consequential brick conspicuously missing? Disappearing the data down a memory hole presents logistical challenges as well as philosophical ones. Does the original sin of he who must not be named preclude society from studying these twin babies as they grow up and maybe have children of their own? Addressing these questions will require decoupling the knowledge-building purpose of scientific publishing from the career-building one. And it goes on here, and there's a couple more quotes that I want to get to the end. But Basil, what do you think so far here? This is
very interesting. I mean, again, this is something I'm pretty sure there are many movies about, mad scientists that start just this way. He does something outside of the scientific norm, something that's kind of controversial, and he just does it without permission and presents it in sort of a flashy way in front of other scientists. And he's expecting to get high praise, and then he is shut down by the scientific community. That's how you create mad scientists, people. But we agree here. I mean, what he did was wrong and sick. And, this might be one of the few places where Gans and I and the scientific community at large can come together, that this guy did not act appropriately.
Well, yeah, but...
And further...
Go ahead.
What?
Are
you going to defend this psychopath?
No. But if the scientific community is they're like, hey, this is wrong. But then they're the ones that are publishing, or at least making available the CRISPR technology at large, right? Or is that not their fault, really? Is it just the natural progression?
You're saying it's their fault because they invented CRISPR?
Not their fault necessarily, but the scientific community at large, moving in that direction in a rapid way where technologies or kits like CRISPR are readily available.
Look, science is our friend, and yes, you can make readily available CRISPR kits, and there's obviously questions to be asked about that, but that's not like the scientific community. We reported on the guy making CRISPR kits available. He's a guy in his garage in the Ukraine or something. Sorry, Ukraine, not the Ukraine.
The Ukraine.
We're not playing Risk here. So that's not necessarily the scientific community. And look, we got to be careful of just totally. I mean, there's a lot of problems with the scientific community, and we point that out all the time. But you can't bash the scientific community simply because they're the scientific community. And here, I think we can agree. Some rogue scientist creating gene-edited babies is something to be discouraged. And that's what's happening here. And jumping down the article a little bit, unless you've got something to jump to.
Yeah, at the bottom here, it talks about the sort of the counter to that, which is then you have the case of Edward Jenner, who in the 1790s began experimenting on people with cowpox, injecting them with material taken from diseased dairy cows to see if it would protect them against smallpox. The Royal Society rejected his paper on the topic, feeling it was an important public health contribution. Jenner published his case studies privately. The account led to the formation of mass vaccination campaigns and the eventual eradication of smallpox from the face of the earth. So, there's a double-edged sword there too, because it creates the vaccine, which eradicates smallpox, but it also created a vaccine, which is a vehicle for other things. So, yeah, it's always a double-edged sword.
There's tons of stories of scientists not getting recognized in their time, and then later on their research leads to, massive things going on in the world. I mean, Tesla is a good example of that. Edison's early life was an example of that, but he quickly found stealing from Tesla was a good way to get attention. But here's the little part in the article that kind of explains something very interesting. Here we go. Science with a small s is a human enterprise as old as humanity itself. Nibbling on the tasty-looking mushroom and waiting for a few hours to see if you get sick? That's hypothesis testing. Try it a few more times with successfully bigger bites and maybe add a bit of open fire cooking. You've got a scientific method going. He's human experiment is clearly science in this sense. Whether it will become science with a big S remains to be seen. This is more rigorous meaning of science, which seeks to accrue knowledge by progressively and systematically reducing uncertainty. Has not only been around a few hundred years. Has only been around a few hundred years. Its arrival was marked by the development of the scientific paper published in the pages of peer-reviewed journals. Before the 1600s, scientists communicated over private correspondence or in lectures. The scientific paper then became, and still is, the enabling unit of science as a progressive global enterprise. So there you go. So we got him doing some little s science, which means testing it out, but big capital S science, which is sort of the global authority of peer review and stuff like that. That's where things get a little dicey. It's a little harder to gain whatever you're trying to gain by sharing your crazy mad experiments.
Well, yeah.
But this is exactly, I think it's Elon Musk who predicted this, or someone like him. He's like, look, there's already going to be guys who are going to step over the line. There's nothing you can do about it. The technology is here. People are going to step over the line. We're going to see a gene edited baby in the next few years. I need to go back and find who exactly said that. But
a lot of people have been saying it. But yeah, the other interesting thing, this is completely related to nothing, but it says here that when he was trying to mimic a 32 base pair deletion to the CCR5 gene that occurs naturally in some people with Northern European ancestry. So
you exposed our connection to big science.
So
our shilling we've been doing for big science.
Yeah, CCR5.
Yep, CCR5. We've got to figure out what episode that was.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on real quick to this next story here. This is a story on Forbes.com. Tech journalists locked out at top AI conference. Dun, dun, dun. Members of the press have been blocked from attending some of the most interesting events at the NeurIPS Artificial Intelligence Conference. Organizers of NeurIPS, rebranded from NIPS, good rebranding, made it impossible.
Do you remember me talking to you about that?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that. Made it impossible for journalists to attend workshops at NeurIPS 2018, which took place this week in Montreal. The workshops contain many of the debates and the most interesting discussions, according to the conference attendee and OpenAI policy director Jack Clark, who happens to be a former Bloomberg technology journalist. Clark appears to be the first person to publicize the fact that journalists are not allowed to attend the workshops. Karen Hao, an AI reporter from MIT Technology Review, wrote on Twitter, quote, "The best part about NeurIPS is the opportunity for learning, not opportunity for stories. It was sad to me that being labeled a reporter suddenly shut the door on my learning." End quote. Katiana Quash, an AI and science reporter from the Register, added, quote, "Banning workshops sucks. It's where journalists can learn the most, as all other research has been published. I found the sessions very valuable last year and didn't really see any situations that would have made any companies or researchers look bad if they are reported." End quote. The quality of AI media coverage varies from some AI researchers worry about sharing technical breakthroughs with the press over fears that they will be misreported. Certain newspapers and magazines scaremonger by regularly using pictures of the Terminator and other killer robots, even as there's no evidence to suggest the machines will turn against us. I don't know what they could possibly be talking about, Gons. No, there's no fear of killer robots around here.
Except ones that crack open bear spray cans.
That's right. Some have suggested that, we don't need to make up stories. The robots write the stories for us. Some have suggested that the workshops are opened to journalists on the condition that they are on background, meaning they could not be reported on. At NIPS 2017, journalists were not allowed to attend workshops or tutorials. A NEURIP spokeswoman said, quote, "We're very aware of the desire to attend workshops, and we're working on crafting a press policy that fits the workshop environment well and will allow us to have an open conversation about the reality of the research." That's the end of the article. And here is very interesting. We see a clash of two big industries. They don't want whatever's happening in these workshops. They don't want people reporting on it. And I understand, look, if anybody knows about the alarmism and the fear-mongering, scaremongering of killer robots, it's us. I get it. I mean, we're all having fun here. But the important thing is, I mean, it's a very important topic. Like, not reporting on the possibility of killer robots is how you get killed by killer robots.
Well,
that's how it happens. And if AI professionals think that they can go behind closed doors and develop and have the conversations without reporting on it, like, I mean, people are so busted up about one reporter getting thrown out of the White House press corps. And why is there not the same outrageous uproar about all reporters getting kicked out of what could be considered conversations that will steer the future of the entire human race? I mean, where's the uproar about this? Anyways,
it's right here on Canary Cry News Talk.
That's right, people. You're hearing it here. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why we're so.
What's happening.
That's why we do what we do.
You know what's happening in those meetings, and this is completely just me speculating.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying we don't need those reporters because
AI reporters.
We are going to create our own reporting, which will be more accurate and more consistent with our message.
That's right.
Which is peace on Earth with robot warriors.
Yeah, peace on Earth for the robots. Okay, Gons. Yep. I want to take the next couple minutes here to talk about a few things in the extended report today. Those of you who are not subscribed to the extended reports, you can go to patreon.com/CCNT to get access to those extended reports. It's another show we do every week. If you want more, we get complaints that this show is a little short. Well, you can have double your fun if you go to patreon.com/CCNT, sign up for the extended reports. We've got a very in-depth Nephilim update, which actually we're going to spend a little bit more time on than the 30 seconds I give you every week to do it. Yeah. I give you as if it's my decision, but time is a cruel master. So we're going to be spending some more time on a Nephilim update. This is an important one. We're also going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about? A little bit of Antarctica stuff, mostly the Nephilim update. And so I'm excited for this one, everybody. You got to go check it out at patreon.com/CCNT. And while you're at it, make sure to go to flippyismybestfriend.com. And I'm serious. If you have not done it yet, you need to go to Facebook. Just post flippyismybestfriend.com. It'll be fun for everybody. And if, just to let you guys know, there are a ton of extended reports there available for you. So if you sign up for the Patreon, you don't just get one extended report. There are like 57 of them. Things like AI everywhere, Ruskies fact check the moon, sunscreen Earth, and social media guns. ER55, Elon answers, Echo Witness, and hologram weddings. ER54, killer screens, Vatican AI, mystery particles, and UFO sightings. That's right. Clickbait, people, but it's good stuff. And we have a little bit more loosey-goosey. We have fun over there. So patreon.com/CCNT. Get in it. And y'all have friends who aren't listening to Canary Cry News Talk. So why don't you go on out there and rattle some cages?
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
Called it.
That's right. We're a little light on the soundboard today. We'll make up for it on the extended report, people. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.